Inside Job is one of those adult-oriented comedy shows that have been so popular in the US for decades, since the first season of The Simpsons was released in the 80s. I personally never really enjoyed this type of animated shows. The humor tries to take viewers aback by how relentlessly obscene it is. In other words, it greatly relies on shock effect rather than being actually hilarious. References to popular culture, politicians and celebrities also make this kind of shows age poorly. Inside Job is an interesting concept for sure. The shadow government that controls people's lives while people themselves are not aware of anything that's actually going on. In this world, all conspiracy theories are true, except Earth being flat, because Earth is in fact hollow. But execution is not really the best. I found humor too forced and characters too unfunny and uncharismatic. What they do for Cognite Inc. is not really clear either. However, there is one character that kept me watching this show, and this character is the show's main protagonist, Reagan Ridley. I really love when I can find relatable characters in any piece of media. Someone whose feelings I can understand, someone whose actions I understand. It is a special feeling that's not really that easy to explain. I would say it's like talking to a friend about your problems. Reagan is exactly this kind of character. Watching her struggles and self-doubts made me contemplate my own feelings and my own doubts. Reagan has Asperger's syndrome. It's hard for her to build relationships with other people, and for that reason nobody in her office, none of her co-workers treat her as a friend. At least at the beginning of the show. Other co-workers find her psychotic and too demanding. No one pays her the respect she deserves, even though she is literally a genius who can build a super advanced artificial intelligence. At first glance, she has pretty much everything that she wants. She's got a job at Cognite Inc., an extremely powerful organization that controls the US government. She is bound to become the next leader of the company, since she is a genius. She's got a pretty decent place to live. However, she doesn't really feel happy and satisfied with what she has. Her job does not make her feel truly happy. She is 30 years old, but she hasn't dated anyone since college. In the first half of the season, she finally decides to find a romantic partner. But of course she doesn't know how to interact with others. Of course she creates a robot to practice dating with real men, and then this whole endeavor just gets out of control. I want to use one specific scene from the show to dissect Reagan's autism. I think this scene serves as a perfect illustration of Reagan's mental problems. It's the scene in which Reagan is watching a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode on the TV while pouring coffee from a pot to her cup. It reminds her when she was a child she tried to turn her pet turtles into superheroes, but instead she just gave them cancer, and then her dad Randall made Reagan put them down with a gun. She dives so deep into her traumatic memories that she becomes numb. She doesn't even feel how hot coffee is literally burning her skin. When she hears her dad's sarcastic remarks, she easily gets mad, easily loses control completely in just a few seconds, to the point that she just throws both the cup and pot to the wall. This scene demonstrates Reagan's anger issues.
Hey, do you have any cranberry juice? Maybe in your secret woman stash?
Figure out your own mixer, Dad. I have an important job keeping the entire world together, remember?
Ah, that's cute. I figured they would have fired you by now. I mean, I got canned, and genetically speaking, you're half as good as me, so...
Sometimes the thought that we're related keeps me up at night.
Classic Ridley rage issues.
Anger issues are when you can easily lose your cool. You might be absolutely tranquil, but then seemingly over nothing, you may just get mad. The reason for getting mad might be the worst that someone says to you. Even if someone says something unpleasant, most people would get irritated or not react at all. However, people with anger issues can just burst. And this is exactly the reaction that we get from Reagan in this scene. In her case, anger issues are just a symptom of her autism, Asperger's syndrome to be more precise. Add Reagan's lack of social skills, which again is the result of her father's action. For her dad, Reagan was not a human being with her own dreams, thoughts, and especially emotions and feelings, but rather a tool to achieve his own pragmatic goals. Randall wanted to take control over the Cognite Inc. through his daughter. That's why he raised her as a young genius, not even allowing her to have a friend or watch TV like other kids, because he saw friendship as a distraction from study. Reagan is convinced that she's always been socially inept, but as we can see in the show, that was not the case actually. As a child, Reagan didn't really have problems talking to other people, or talking in public in general, as we see her presenting her project at school. She even had a friend who assisted Reagan with her project, but she doesn't even remember him because her dad erased her memory when she was just a child. And so she completely forgot that she even had a friend until the 10th episode of the show.
I don't want to skip 4th grade. What are you doing, Dad?
I'm saving you from a life of middling achievement. Barrow, dial up the dopamine levels by 15%. Look, I know JR's got it out for me. If I'm ever axed from this company, I need an insurance policy to get me back in. And if Daddy's little insurance policy gets off track by befriending some idiot, the Ridley Empire crumbles.
Reagan's father always treated her feelings with neglect without even thinking of how his words might affect her. She was a genius, a prodigy, sure, but she was also a child. Reagan's death is not the only one to blame though. Her mother and father have an incredibly toxic relationship. This also greatly contributed to Reagan's mental instability. Parents neglect reaching the point when they don't even care that their 12-year-old daughter might go to prom with a 30-year-old man. The fact that Reagan in her 30s still lives with her father does not help either. They have toxic and unhealthy relationships, and because Reagan lives with her father in the same house, she cannot escape it. Her death always reminded her of her childhood traumas and emotional abuse she experienced. Reagan Ridley is an absolutely fascinating case of autistic representation to me. I can totally feel her emotions, and her little antics are all too familiar. She is an example of what emotional abuse can cause. I am always glad to see autistic representation in the media. It helps to demystify mental health to many people and show that having mental issues is not what many people think it is. Autism in particular is a big spectrum with different sets of syndromes that may greatly vary. Most people neglect their mental health, which never leads to any positive consequences. So representation in the media remains greatly important.